Taylor. Are you here for Leaders Lead the podcast? Let's go. Hey, how did you beat me? Look, let me tell you about this podcast. We got like 5 seconds. Leaders Lead the podcast is about leadership. Not just the leader without, but the leader within. All of these leaders that I'm talking to across the country, well, across the world now, they have one thing in common, and that's that they have overcome some insurmountable obstacles to get to where they're at today. Come on, let's go. Welcome to Leaders Lead the podcast. I'm super excited. Today, we're talking to somebody that I'm really inspired by. I'm inspired by Mr. Mark Lachance. I was looking at his profile, and it's so interesting. It's interesting because he is the #1 TikTok agency. Hope I got that right. He's a CEO with Maxi Media, and he is just killing it. And I want to get all the details. So what I want y'all to do is grab a pen and paper and take notes because we're going to class. What's going on, Mark?
All good, Tony. All good. I love that intro, by the way. That was awesome.
Thanks, man. Me and my son made that.
That's cool. Very cool. I like it.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. I'm super excited. Glad to have you on the show. What we do on the show, Mark, is we talk to people like yourself that are killing it in the game. You can admit that. You can take that you're killing it right now, right?
Crushing it, Tony. Crushing it. Yeah.
Crushing it. I love it. And I agree. And that's one thing. That's why I say grab your pens and grab your paper, because we definitely want to learn from you. First off, like how did you get here?
How did I get here? By making a ton of mistakes, Tony. That's the only way to get to the top in any field is learning and making mistakes and being coachable as well. I mean, there's a point in everybody's career where they have to figure out, drop your ego and listen to the people that are a hell of a lot smarter than you, and then you can take the next step.
Wow, that's good. I'm glad that you said failure, because that's always one of my favorite questions. I want to learn from leaders about failing, because I see so many people, they don't want to launch their course. They don't want to launch their product, their service, because they're like, oh man, I'm not ready. I'm going to fail. Like, can you talk to us about failure? That person that's listening to the show right now, and they're just afraid to fail.
So perfection, my coach right now, Dan Sullivan, I don't know if you know who he is, but he's the head of strategic coach. So Dan's one of his teachings is, perfection is just like procrastination. It's the same thing. So, and then he always says, he speaks a lot about failing fast, and he speaks a lot about 80%. So get 80% done in launch, 80% done in launch. So, that's kind of the way I've lived. And if you're a procrastinator, it's just like perfection. You're not going to get anything done. You're not going to get out of the gates. So Get going, Tony, get going.
No, I love it. I love it because when I think about, especially like with this podcast, I procrastinated so much, and it took the pandemic and my friends basically saying, "Dude, why haven't you got a podcast?" And I'm like, I don't know. I don't understand how to use the audio equipment. And then I did it, and I figured it out along the way. Having friends to call and ask different questions. You talked about having a mentor. How important is it to have a mentor?
Oh, I think it's hugely important. And it doesn't have to be a person. It could be a platform like YouTube, or it could be, a book. That could be your mentor. It doesn't have to be, I have, so-and-so as my mentor. But for example, in cryptocurrencies, I have 10 mentors or 20 mentors on YouTube, right? Or in finance, I have finance books that are stacked in the bookshelves over here in front of me. Or on leadership, I've got, a book, for example, called Extreme Ownership by Jocko. I mean, exactly. I can go down the list, but I have many, I would have to say I have many mentors. And actually, throughout the years, I've collected, I guess you could say, or developed tons of great relationships where I can pick up a phone call and say, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think about that? And as long as you're asking people that are a heck of a lot smarter than you in other fields, then you're gonna learn from them.
Wow. Wow. I read somewhere that you talk about people that are being smart in you. I read somewhere where you said that your one of your first businesses failed because you probably had people smarter than you, but they were yes, Mark. Yes, Mark. That's perfect, Mark. Great idea, Mark. You're such oh my God, I love your bald head, Mark. You're amazing.
It is
Right?
nice, though, isn't it?
It is. I love it. I think everybody that got a bald head, man, it's just something
I
about it,
agree.
you know.
I
Uh,
agree.
but having the yes yes men, yes women, yes to all of our friends. How damaging is that?
Hugely damaging because you don't get their ideas, or if you have yes men around or yes women around you, they're probably not the creative type. They're definitely not the go-getters, because no go-getters ever going to stay with somebody that requires yes people around them. So I think it's hugely damaging, big time.
Wow, that sounds like that's another affirmation with me and my wife. She is definitely not a yes woman. She would tell me in a heartbeat, I don't think that's a good idea.
Yours isn't either.
No, she'll say, did you really think this out?
Neither is mine, Tony.
Man, so I literally, man, it's I've worked for different companies, and I would do stuff for CEOs, and I would go and I would just have so much like, all right, cool, they're gonna take it, they're gonna accept it. But now with my wife, man, she definitely makes me smarter. Do you have somebody in your corner that sharpens your edges?
Yeah, I've got a couple of people actually. I've got, like I said, over the years, I've been to many personal development events. I'm part of Strategic Coach, like I said. I've been to Tony Robbins a lot, and I've collected or partnered with, I guess you would call it, or befriended many people that I have 5 or 6, high level thinkers that I've befriended, that I can call on a regular basis and say, hey, what do you think about this or that? And I think it's important to have that. You need that sounding board of people that have been through the wars and the battles that you haven't been through, and say,
Yeah.
and just to get their opinions.
Yeah, you mentioned your library, and dude, I went from not reading at all to where I would say I'm consuming, and maybe about a book a day sometimes. Yeah,
A
now,
book
when I
a
say reading,
day.
yeah, let me back up.
Listening.
Let me back up. My daughter's here. She's probably like, Dad, that's not true. She's over here reading the 7 Habits of Highly
awesome.
Successful Teenagers by Sean Covey. But I listen to a lot of audiobooks, and I read as a supplement as well. And you talked about the importance of books. What are your favorite books? What did you learn to get here? Because the reason that I'm asking you this, not because I'm a book fanatic, but just like you said, I think that's a secret. You want to know how somebody did it? Check out their book.
So there's a couple of them, and I'm looking at them right there at the end of my shelf. So you've got. So I was at an event in Vegas. I was at a marketing conference, and a group of us went out to dinner, and there were about, I think, 10 or 11 people, and one guy said, hey, let's go around the table and ask what is your favorite business book? And one guy said Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. And I'm like, really? What's that about? Well, it's about an FBI agent who learns how to negotiate and win every negotiation. And so that's turned into one of my go-tos. And the other one for operating a business is Winning by Jack Welch. It's an old, I mean, he's one of the best CEOs ever in the history of CEO-hood. And and I think I use his learnings and his teachings in almost everything I do. And another one, I mentioned it earlier, but Extreme Ownership is a great one. And other books like Tell to Win that I'm looking at, or one that I love that motivated the heck out of me is Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. I'm sure you
dude,
know about that one.
Yeah, dude, I was just about. That's so funny. It just came to my brain. I was like, I wonder if he read Can't Hurt Me. What do you like? You like
about
book?
10 times.
Oh man, you should go and check out the episodes we've had. Bill Brown, Freak Brown. He's been on the show. Oh my God, such an amazing guy. We've had Yeah, we've had almost every character in the book that was in the Navy that actually like worked with him and that's living on the show. That is definitely a good book. I listen to it when I'm just trying to overcome something. I listen to it when my mindset is a little bit low. Can you talk a little bit about that? The mindset of an entrepreneur?
Well, it look, I used to be up and down and have sort of gyrations in maybe energy or mindset or positive mindset. And I learned over the years how to kind of harness it and stay at a level 10 all day long. And I talk about that. I don't know if you probably know this, but I wrote a best-selling book called the Lucky Formula, and
Hmm.
it's about how you stack stack the odds in your favor and cash in success, but how you stack certain things in your favor that can help you be at a level 10 all the time. Like, for example, when you wake up in the morning, what do you do in the morning? Do you have a morning routine? What's your narrative? What are you saying to yourself? Are you a victim or are you a victor? So if you wake up in the morning, are you going to be like, oh no, today's going to be horrible? Or are you excited to pop out of bed and crush the day? And then what do you do? What do you tell yourself? Do you look in the mirror like I do for 2 minutes and have a stupid smile on my face, but it affects you positively, right? Or do you have
Oh,
affirmations? Are you saying how lucky you are and how great you are and how wealthy you are and how healthy you are, how great your family is? What are you doing when you get out of bed? And then, are you training? Are you working out? What are you putting in your body? Are you eating, fats, salts, and sugars, or are you putting, right carbohydrates and proteins? So there's a whole formula around success and vibrating at a high level. And, if you learn it, you can be successful. If you don't, then you'll be that victim that,
oh,
I never want to be.
I love it. Can you break down the principles in the Lucky Formula, which actually I read comes from your name, right?
Yes, sir. Lachance actually means luck. So, people say, hey, how are you qualified to have a book about luck? Well, I'm like, well, my name means it. And that was my nickname when I was a kid. So I guess I'm qualified.
Oh wow! So they called you Lucky.
That's right. Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that. That sounds
Yeah.
like a gangster's name, Lucky Lachance.
There you go.
Did I say it right when we did the introduction? I
Close.
got
It
that
was
right.
good. It was good. Yeah, it was good. Very good.
O-
I was laughing. I was laughing. It's funny.
No, man, I try my best, man, because I know the name, it's a part of us, and it's very important to get somebody's name correct. Another question. So we talked about your success formula. We talked about some of your failures. Let's talk about the wins. The wins. What are some of the biggest wins that you've had, and um, how do you quantify those wins?
Well, I mean, if you talk about business, I've had wins in many different industries. So, for example, I started as a sports agent a long time ago. Learned how to negotiate pretty big deals with in the National Hockey League. Learned how to recruit. Learned how to get punched and knocked down and get back up. And then in business, I've been fortunate to work with some pretty amazing people. So that's a win. I've been fortunate to be at some great events, and I spoke about strategic coach, but I'm in what's called the Free Zone group right now, and it's Dan Sullivan's highest group, and we have some rock stars in that group. So that's a win only because I'm hanging around with very highly successful people, multi millionaires and billionaires, and I'm learning from them. And then I'm learning from their mistakes and their successes, and that to me is the biggest win because you're learning from the best, and you can't teach that in school. Nobody teaches that in school, so I think
Right.
it's amazing.
Right. I think that's awesome. There aren't many schools that really teach you, I feel like, how to be an entrepreneur. It's a different kind of skill set. It's a different kind of skill set. You brought up extreme ownership, and that's one thing that I've noticed throughout the years, that it's all my fault. It's all my fault. And when I say that to people, they take it almost to where, no, 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 you can't, no, 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 no. This is my company. And that's just kind of how I am with my family. It happened under my watch. You're right. I'll take accountability for that. So that's good. You made me kind of go there. I was thinking about that when you were saying that. Um, scaling. Scaling. That's a big topic. Big topic for us right now. In the pot with the podcast. I stalled so long on it. It was all the other businesses, not the podcast. We're not ready. We're not ready yet. We gotta get this award. We gotta get this. We gotta do this. We gotta do that. Right? Trying to build up a false sense of self-efficacy. What do you? You know what I mean? It was just ridiculous, man. All I should have did was just plug some stuff up and go. I had to have all the best crap in order to go. But scaling. What do you recommend as far as best practices with scaling?
So, look, to scale the way, I write about it in the book. Also, I call it blitz scaling. I learned it out of a book called Blitz Scaling by Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn. He's got a different definition than I do because he was writing about it from a standpoint of what do you do with VC money or private equity money when you get, 10, 20 million? Well, the way I look at it is I've never taken outside capital ever in any of my ventures. And I'm at probably right now number 13 or number 14. And I've always scaled it from the bottom. But how do I go from, right now we started this company, this latest company with 2 employees. Now we have over 300. Or the one before that, I started with myself and then ended up with over 215. And then before that, started with 3 people, ended with, when I left, about 500. So how do you do that? Well, you take every single dollar of profit and you drive it right back into revenue, right back into, revenue growth. So what's revenue growth? That's anything that has to do with sales, marketing, or business development, right? Don't worry about anything else. Just build the top line, build the revenue, drive in the cash, and you're going to have fires burning. Yeah, you're going to have, HR issues and that, but you want to build the revenue first. So anything that has to do with growing the company, plow all your cash into that and then figure it out later. But cash is king, as you know, Tony. You don't have cash flow and you don't have, you don't have anything. You don't have, that's your lifeblood. So you need it.
Right. What about, and I want our audience to hear this. I know what you're going to say. Dude, I did a deep dive on you. Into you because I just so inspired by it. It made me like really want to learn more. The entrepreneur that is a 1-person shop and they are doing all the things, but maybe they're still working. Maybe they still have a 9 to 5, and the 9 to 5 they don't have the money to really start bankrolling stuff. What suggestions would you give to them to scale? Because that's a unique qualifier right there. Because a lot of our guests, or not guests, but viewers and listeners, that's where they're at.
Well, if you're a one-man shop, I was there many, many times. But the way to get out of that one-man shop situation is first you have to hustle. That's obvious, right? So that means, if you think you're gonna grow a huge company without putting in the hustle, never gonna happen. So the first companies that I grew, I was working, 16, 17, 18-hour days. It's just, you have to do it. So you're working till 11 or 12 o'clock at night and waking up at 6, 7 in the morning and getting right to it. So that's a prerequisite. That's a number one. And I find these days, and maybe it's the same in the past, but I could just say that, a lot of the young folk think, it's easy. They think, I deserve it. No, you don't deserve anything. You're not getting anything. Nobody's giving you anything. So you better hustle. And then once you figured out the hustle part, take all your profits and start bringing people that can offload what you absolutely hate to do. That's the first person you bring in. What do you make a list on the board? What do you love to do and what do you hate to do? And start hiring people to take over the hate. Because if you do things that you don't like to do, you're not going to do them well, and you're going to actually probably end up hating your job or your business. So I've been there before, and I learned that from Dan and from Tony Robbins. That get people that are smarter and better than you in every area of your business, and you can back away and do what you love to do.
Yeah, definitely. That's good. That's a good affirmation. One of the things that we did with that was, because I was a one-man show forever, the first move that I made was give away the stuff that I hated. And that was the scheduling. I like talking to people. I like working things out, but I suck at it. Dude, I would be making transactions and doing deals in other countries. I'm thinking that it's like Eastern Standard Time, but it's like AUS, and I'm like messing stuff up or running through the house. Honey, and she was just like, you're not good at that. So I gave that away, the scheduling, the finances, and a couple other different things. But what do you think is important to keep? Like, what are you keeping as the person that started the business? Something that you never want to let go. And I'll give you my reason for asking this is because a lot of entrepreneurs that I've ran across, what they do is they say, okay, I'm gonna build this company. While I'm building this company, I'm gonna give away everything. I'm just gonna manage it. I'm not gonna really do nothing. I'm gonna manage it from the couch.
Well, I
heard that, Mark.
You can do that, sure, but that's a different, I guess, question. It's a different answer from each person. Will have a different answer. So, what do I keep, or what do I get rid of? I get rid of anything and everything that I hate doing. That's number one, right? And what do I keep? Anything and everything that I love doing, plus the bank account. That's how you keep. Nobody gets access to the bank account. That's it.
That's good. That's so good because you give somebody access to your bank account, it ain't yours no more, right?
I've been there before, Tony. That's why I hold those keys close to my vest. So.
Wow, biggest failure.
Back in 2007, I made a huge investment. 2006, I sold a company that I started in 2001, several $1 million in my pocket. And I rolled it all in 2007. Tony, you're old enough to remember that the real estate crash of that time. Mm-hmm. So I rolled it all into a real estate project. And guess what happened in 2007, 2008? Boom. Down. So I got crushed. I was on the verge of bankruptcy, on the verge of, anxiety every night, no sleep, blah, blah, blah. I had the stacks of bills on the top of my desk that were unpaid. And I don't know if you've ever been there, depression. But financial stress is the worst stress. So that was my biggest mega failure. But you look back, that mega failure taught me a ton. And I'd have to say that I wouldn't change it because I would never be where I'm at right now if I did not, make that colossal, stupid move.
Wow. So how did you get out of it?
Hustle, right? Hustle. Well, let's put it this way. Over the years, I made a lot of people a lot of money. So, I was able to leverage, I guess I'll call it goodwill, or leverage the network that I had built up, after I wanted to crawl out from underneath a rock that I was hiding under and admit that I failed big time. And then, so with hustle and with leveraging my history, I was able to, get the right people to back me and make it happen again. Exactly. Okay. Relationships.
Oh, that's perfect. There's always a common denominator, and it's just like, I don't know if you see me. Sometimes I'll snap my fingers, and that's just so that I could remember this moment, because it becomes so clear to me just hearing it over and over from people that are where you're at, that are making a difference in the world. And I wanted to ask you, the difference that you're making, the financial gain, you're employing a lot of people. What do you do as far as the social stuff? How does Maxi Media give back?
Well, we're actually donating, just in terms of cash, we're donating a ton of money to children's organizations. So that's one way we give back. Another way we give back is I like to give opportunities to people who hustle. And I don't care if they have no education. I don't care where they're from, what their skin colors. It doesn't matter. We're all about meritocracy. And if you hustle, you have an opportunity. So we have a huge team in the Philippines. We have a huge team in India, Pakistan, Mexico as well. And it doesn't matter who you are. If you want to hustle and you want to work hard, and we'll take care of you and your family. So that's kind of how we give back. And we're having fun every single day doing it.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's so good to hear. Your team in Pakistan, they're doing all right, because I know they got a lot of floods over there right now. Okay.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay.
Sure. Well, we had, so here's an example. So we had in the Philippines, there was a huge cyclone a couple months ago, and we donated, a lot of cash and gave people time off so they can fix the devastation, and they did. So we're happy to support the team over there.
Oh man, that's so amazing. That is so amazing. So, man, I know that our viewers, our listeners, they're checking this out and they're thinking, man, how can I get some of this awesomeness besides the podcasts and everything else that you do, and how can they further connect with you and learn this information? Do you have anything that they could just hold on to?
Yeah, we'll start with, I'll give your listeners a gift, and the gift is the Lucky Quiz. So you want to go, Tony, to theluckyformula.com/quiz. Again, theluckyformula.com/quiz, and it'll give you your luck score. So Tony, I fully expect later today that you do the lucky quiz, so I could see your score. It gives you a score on a scale to from 0 to 100. And it basically gives you tips and tricks on how to increase your score and get, lucky is synonymous with success, right? So how to get lucky or how to get successful. It's pretty cool quiz. I recommend you take it.
That's pretty cool. It's synonymous with success. How so? So you keep pulling me back in. I was closing, but you keep pulling me back in.
Well, isn't it when people, when you, let's say you're driving down the street in a Ferrari or Rolls Royce, oh, that guy's lucky, really? Or is he successful? So that's why I think it's one and the same. And you can create your own luck or success by doing the right things.
Wow. Good stuff. Are you Think and Grow Rich? Are you a Think and Grow Rich guy?
That was the first book my father gave us, me and my two brothers, when we were kids. So definitely.
Wow. Is there some stuff? Is there some stuff in there where you're like, no, not doing that? Or
I bought in everything because I think you might be referring to the sort of woo stuff, right? So
I'm a woo guy.
So am I. If you're, my secret weapon actually is meditation, to be quite honest with you, and that's to me why I am hugely successful, because it allows you to focus. It allows you to really cut through the BS and laser focus on what you want, and not deal with the minutia that life can throw at you. So.
Man, I'm really vibing off you, man. This is good stuff, man. No, I love it too. There's a lot of people. The chapter where Napoleon is hanging out with all the Edisons and all the different people. I think he was hanging out with Abraham Lincoln, George Washington. Like, he had a table full of people, and that's kind of my thinking, man. As far as leaders lead the podcast. You're now sitting at our table, man. I love that, and and that's for the listeners and the viewers. I want y'all to go and check out Mark. Take the quiz. I'm going to do it. Does it go directly to you?
Well, it doesn't. You're gonna have to. I mean, I'd have to look in the database. But what you're going to do, Tony, is you're going to email me your results right after you take it.
I'll do that. That. Awesome. I am going to do that. Before we close, Mark, this is, I want you to talk to an entrepreneur, somebody that's emerging. Maybe they got some fears. Maybe they got some doubts. Is there anything that we left on the table that you would like them to know?
Yeah, I think one of the key factors is your circle of influence, or whoever you hang around with. Because you said people have fears, but fears are generally I say gotten or attracted by the people you hang around with. So, for example, let's say I'm going to start a business tomorrow. My circle of influence is going to say, awesome, man, crush it. But talk to me 20 years ago. Well, I don't know, maybe. Screw that. So the circle of influence that you have around you is what's going to dictate your future. So my biggest suggestion ever outside of meditation, number one, is to get a circle of influence of people that are go-getters, that are aggressive, that are, that want to take the mountain, right? So let's say you're hanging around with 5 other people that are lazy and victims and, negative. What do you think you're going to be? But what if you hang around with 5 people that are go-getters? Even they don't have to be highly intelligent MIT students or billionaires or millionaires, but they have to be people that think big and want better. So if you're hanging around with 5 people that think like that, how do you think you're going to think?
Like that.
Exactly. That's the point. So that's a huge piece. So if you have fears, hang around with people that are fearless and your fears will go away.
That's so beautiful. That's good stuff, man. Dude, I want to thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for blessing us with your leadership. Whew, that was great. If you enjoyed this podcast, well, I'm sure you enjoyed it. If you're still here with us, what I want you to do is head over to your favorite podcast and streaming network and give us a download, subscribe to the channel, and also let us know what you think about the show. And from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you for the things that you've done. Thank you for the things that you're doing. And especially thank you for the things that you're going to do, because I know that you're going to do something amazing.